this is almost our first time going live. Should we introduce ourselves?
Sure. Let's. Do you want to go first?
Sure. All right.
Face the camera.
Hey guys, what's up? Most of you guys know me on here as the Divine Sorcerer. My name's Michael Williams Sr., and I am the owner and founder of Sprad Paranormal. You can also find them here on YouTube. I got about 12 years in the paranormal field, and I've got about a year and a half in the magic field, in the wizardry, sorcery department. So my goal was to put them both together. You know, as I explained to Brian when I first met Brian, there's so many people out there that are ghost chasing or ghost hunting. Why do you have to hunt them? They already feel abandoned and forgotten. So why do you have to chase them? Why not do it like our ancestors did it and just call upon them, summon them, invoke them, like show them, offerings when you invoke them. Show them that they're not forgotten. Talk to these things. A lot of you guys don't understand that these things are around you all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. Sometimes you'll walk into a building and the hair will stand up on the back of your neck. It's probably because an entity either just followed you in the building or passed through you as you left it. Like I said, I have 12 years in the paranormal field, and with going through my whole mythology 10-year, floating a boat thing there, that gave me more knowledge on what I'm dealing with today. And a little bit later in the video here, we're going to have a breakdown and explanation of the case that I just had and the possible energy that's there, what I dealt with. Though you couldn't see it because I used a cheap little cell phone camera because, well, I'm just now getting my stuff back up from like I said, the whole Christian Judaism era. Like I kind of took a pause there for a minute. But anyway, the Ouroboros. God, I love that. There's that word again, man. Led me right back to where I am today, who I am today. So, even though it was a 10-year journey, I started in witchcraft, doing the paranormal, and I did that for a while, 7 years maybe. And then I got into the Judaism Christian era and right back to wizardry because of King Solomon. So like I said, the Ouroboros. But I'm gonna explain to you guys what we deal with, even though you can't see it on these little phones. But when you have an IR camera, as in said case of like other people that are also bringing out documentation. So there's a channel here on YouTube, Really Haunted. Check him out because his material is what I'm going to be showing you to match what I was playing with the other night. So, Brian, that's enough about me.
No, it's good. It's good. It's accurate. I mean, I'm gonna throw down and say, like, I've been practicing sorcery for I've been teaching it since 2001 online to people. I started out in Facebook groups, or before Facebook, there was a company out there called the Library of Knowledge. I wound up submitting an application about 3 years into my own personal practice because I wanted to reinforce my foundational techniques. So I was teaching an elemental department of sorcery since 2001. So I've been teaching it for 21 years now. I wrote a best-selling book back in 2012, and I've been teaching from that for the last 10 years. As a result of how that book was structured and how it's been continually reinforced in the marketplace, I've been able to build a brand around the Academy that's worth around $3 billion plus with continually reinforced of entrepreneurs across the world using the foundations of the mechanics to be able to change their fate. And so I approach magic not as an intangible force, but as the connected force, not as oh my God, we're doing witchcraft and magic as like some spooky woo-woo shit. No, it's a level of consciousness, because if you reach the states of consciousness, like the Mind Valley Company does, they'll help you go through that 4-level process, right? Level 5 to get into like the military grade shit. We don't want to talk about that right now because it's too new to my relationship with you people. So I deal with some really crazy, fringy shit. And so proving that the concepts of consciousness and the ability to willfully manipulate the world around us by directing that consciousness on purpose, using specific words, using mathematics, using frequency, using rhythm, using the alignments and the placements and the doings and all the shit that I've had to teach Mike over the last 9 months in order to catch him up to speed. So when he goes out into the field, he doesn't have to rely on EMF detectors. He doesn't have to rely on boxes and gizmos. He's relying on his insight, what his brain is already capable of understanding. He just doesn't have a framework to understand the language of what he's feeling. And that becomes the spelling of a spell, of the frequency. It is the language to describe a frequency of engagement. So when we go through these processes, it is a very tangible thing. You might not see it, but you will feel it. And if you don't feel it, you fucked up or you're not there yet, right? If you don't know inexorably, what I'm talking about is a visceral experience. Like when you face east, you hold out your hand, you say the thing, you will feel that entire current running through your body. If you don't feel it, work on your consciousness, right? But visualization works at one level, meditation works at another level. You have to do the technique at the right level of consciousness. You have to be able to study that stuff. So you have to have community collaborators like the Mind Valley people in order to be able to do the thing, right? So there is a bunch of stuff I get up to. And at every level of the communities, I'm trying to bring this kind of get a hold of your fate. You're responsible for your emotions, your frequency, the way your thought patterns work in the marketplace as they interrelate to each other, and to be able to be free within that moment to separate from those things, to be able to apply that divine inspiration that you're getting so that when you do plug into those things, you are operating in a place of power that is absolutely the expression of the mathematical source principle without corruption, because you know that it's going to benefit not just you, not just the people hearing it, not just the legacy of those people carrying it forward into the marketplace, but as it spreads and grows. It's a non-corruptible model, right? And so this is what I've been trying to teach with the 1%ers over the last few years, is those people that are in positions of power need to understand what power really does. And right now they don't. And I'm not saying I understand it fully. I'm just saying that I've had the last 20 years to experience what I've seen it do, and the last really 10, 12 years teaching it. And if it didn't work in this particular structure, then the industry wouldn't have shifted entirely over the last few years. I wouldn't be able to have $1 billion company. I would, it's extremely private who's involved, because these principles, the way these principles work in the marketplace, if they become corruptible, we're screwed. So I have to be very, very careful. I have to go find people who will keep the faith, as it were, right? What do I mean by that? People like Michael here, the divine source, right? He keeps the faith. He knows this stuff is fact. He stewards it into the marketplace, into the community, right? Business community is the marketplace. But the other day, little girl's home, right? And so equipping him with the techniques to be able to tap into the consciousness and to be able to manipulate these energies as you feel it moving through you. It's just a matter of, do you see the little lightning bolts of electricity that are coming off of your fingers, regardless of if you're aware of it or not, right? You want to talk about the shit that's all around us? We'll talk about what the body's doing all the time anyway, right? So it's not just out there, it's also in here. How we use what's in here with words that we bring from the intangible into the form, right? The world is so fucked off because we've been writing a narrative of war and destruction for years and putting that out through Hollywood, right? Telling of the worlds of the past that have been, or the worlds that'll never be, or the shit that's so far fringy, right? And that's the thing about the Academy of Sorcery. That's the thing that I'm working with Mike, and that's what this platform for me is for, is to give principle foundation to this mechanic, that it's not woo-woo crazy shit. This is what your biorhythms are already generating. And if you do it with the right words in the right way, at the right angle, you tap into a mathematical framework that's in existence anyway. And if you can use the alchemical anchorage, you can use the structures, you can use the words, and you can give it form on purpose, Then we have magic, right? The manipulation of the environment in the accordance with your will. It's not an intangible woo-woo concept of some foreign god. That's an ancestral thing. The gods were people at one point, right? We live in a world of giants. So this stuff is real. This stuff is our heritage. This stuff is our history. Regardless of what crazy alien conspiracy shit exists out there, regardless of what is happening politically, this world has a heritage that's been hidden from its people. Preservation of culture, folklore, traditions, these techniques, to be able to bring closed cultural stuff, stewarding it properly into the community. So as we go through, when we speak about power, when we speak about spirits, I'm not just talking to Mike about how to deal with these intangibles. I'm calling on friends of mine in the community who spent, one of them, 9 years in a Taoist temple in China studying a sect of Taoism. I'm talking about a friend of mine who's in the medical community in Mexico, right? Who's bringing out Mexican magic and folklore and folk magic into tribal peoples that have been suppressed or hidden away, that it's got to be kept in family lines. I'm trying to get him taught by those folks too. So it's not just us alone doing this. We're doing ancient fucking shit. Like, this is the ancient stuff. This is as old as you get, helping with the best that you can find to facilitate for more. And that's what this is for. That's what I'm doing here. That's so you want to talk about you going on, man? I'm going on way too often. Like, I'm a shush. You did a thing, right? You did one of the most important things, the reasons why. Like, I'm going to introduce it a little bit. On Saturday, in the industry for me personally, there's a lot of really crazy events that go on. Like Pete Vargas did a Great American Speak Off interviews for what he hopes will be a Netflix special of like grand proportions for the business community. Russell was doing a launch for his community. Pedro was doing his 100X faith-based convention up there, you know. And at the time all of that shit is to kick off and I'm supposed to be there at 6:58, there's a text message. Reshifts the entire focus of my day. Normal people's business would be to carry on. No, motherfuckers. I get one of those text messages, all of my shit full stop. Mike, this is on you, man. What was in the message?
I get a call about a little girl seeing two hooded figures. Now, this was a case I had done prior, probably about 6 months prior. They had the one, these are the guys that had the mirrors in their house, and it brought in other things. I had to trap it back in the mirror and to remove the mirrors from their house. Well, everything calmed down. Everything was good. There was no activity whatsoever after I did the first ritual exorcism there. Then they got custody of their granddaughter, and their granddaughter started to see these hooded figures and this portal in the wall. And so I went back in and I did a ritual exorcism in the room where the so-called nice one sits. And then I went to the other room and I did a ritual exorcism in that room where the bad one usually is. I made the little girl pendant, Penteland rock salt, that we awoken. We did a ritual to awaken it. So that way she's got something to carry around with her at all times, so she doesn't have to feel paranoid or freaked out, because salt is an actual protectant. And so when I gave it to her, she felt good. She gave me the pendant I gave to the other client before. And it was just an awesome experience, because when I went in, you could see the fear in her eyes. You could see the fear in grandma's eyes, like seeing these things. And that broke my heart to see that little girl afraid to go into her room and play with her toys because of these things being there. And then what really made me happy was after I did the ritual exorcisms, you could tell I brought her back upstairs and she had no fear. She wasn't, she looked around for him. She couldn't find him, everything was good. Then I get up the next morning and the client tells me everything was great. They're not seeing nothing. The little girl is like playing with toys she's not played with in months. Like, Yeah, this is, you know, I mean, this is why I do this, so that people understand that, you know, look, let's go through some videos. Um, like when I did the ritual exorcism, I did it with a little phone, a camera phone, like a cheap little piece of technology, right? I wasn't equipped and didn't have my IR technology, infrared and whatnot. But I want to explain to you, like, the force that I was taking from this wall visually, you know, manifesting through the crystal to throw into the light. Like, I'm going to show you a clip from really Haunted's page of what he goes through and what he's got documented. When the camera starts glitching like that, there's energy there. Well, that's what these things are. They're energy. That's what you're going to be when you die. Energy, right? And so let's take a look here. Let me see if I can. I'm new to this StreamYard stuff here.
It's interesting. I mean, this is all about getting as much proof, documentations, and stuff like that we possibly can. How things integrate or interact with each other. Careful with the sage on that, because that sage will impregnate the area and make the manifestations more dense, so it'll actually make her feel more stuff than it will actually push that stuff off. So sage has a lot of misconceptions in the marketplace. And I work with a lot of different traditions. Some shamans are like, yeah, you can use it. But at the end of the day, it's what you use to give the spirits body, give the spirits form. Like you're calling them in with sage. Yeah. And then you're telling them to run away by the blessings or the words that you're trying to say at them too. So it's a come here and then go away. It's a really stupid use of the plant in an incorrect way.
Right.
So be very careful when you're implementing sage. Like, this is part of a giant rant that I have before we begin. While you're getting this stuff set up, Mike, like
you're good. You're good.
But one of the things that it's like I was very Gordon. I pulled a Gordon Ramsay. Was like, just no, don't do this. When people are out there with the Hollywood shit, right? They're out there ghost hunting or in the paranormal, and they're all these people that are like, ghosts, whatever, spooky, scary, you know, wrong, motherfuckers. That is an absolutely incorrect statement. You need to be in a place of fucking reverence, because those are places of pain, trauma, and destruction. How dare you go out there and behave like a brat? How dare you approach this shit like that? You go out there, you handle your shit. You're there to protect somebody. I approve of what Mike does. I don't approve of what's been going on in the paranormal communities. I support people like Alex Matsuo, who goes out there with the Association of Paranormal Studies, who I used to work for 10 years ago, right? Doing extractions for them, right? They're solid folks. Sprad Paranormal, solid folks. I love getting paranormal companies caught up to speed on being able to implement these higher level consciousness techniques. Like, that is what that stuff is for. Those are the only people I will teach that to, right? Because they're the people that need it most. So thus I'm teaching it. But what Mike's going to show is why I teach it. Is because this shit in the field is only part of it. And if we can grow this particular division of the brand strong enough, then we can leverage those tech companies to be able to produce a Google type glass-ish thing where we have an IR camera where we can see these infrared spectrums in live times on a screen in front of us, so that the people that are in those environments can actually see what the fuck is going on, and there's enough of this fear and this bullshit. And if it's, oh my God, if it's a scary enough story. Like, you know what they did to the Warrens? Like, that story that everybody thinks about in The Conjuring and all that, absolutely fucking bullshit. The Warrens ended up abusing the folks at that property and transpossessing the spirit within the woman. It was their fault in the first place that entire thing went to shit. You got to be careful who your shit is coming from, guys. Like, I will yell at people like, yeah, let's do necromancy. Let's go raise up these spirits. Let's find out what happened. Right? We're going to go out there into the field. We're going to lay hands on that earth. Right? Guess what you're going to feel? You're going to feel all the soldiers' dying moments. You're going to feel all the lost dreams and hopes and shit that they're never going to have again, that are frozen in a moment because it was so traumatic. That's what you're going to feel en masse. And you want to go tramping around there like, oh, I'm scared. Oh, how fucking dare you, you motherfuckers.
I know who you're talking about.
How dare you?
And that happens though. I mean, and again, it's because there's inexperienced people out there, and that's why, by doing these videos, they hopefully learn to do them the correct way. How to understand them the correct way. Get training through the academy, whatnot.
It doesn't have to be us. Just get trained to work with your psychic stuff.
They can be anywhere, but
Yeah.
never. Well, you guys probably already saw the video, but when the camera glitches, again, I didn't have an IR camera. I had a regular phone camera, right? And so you didn't see what was there messing up the camera. But here he documents proof of what is messing up his camera. So in the same sense as what was in that room messing up my
camera. Entering the attic, it knocks the attic door open and then sounds
Watch how
like
the
it's
screen
playing with
blurs.
it because of the law banging after.
Okay. And so that is the same thing.
Crystal slave.
As the glitch in this.
Well, you two have felt that. When she pointed it out, you felt it. Did it work?
Yeah, it's glitching.
Not feeling any cool air. Like when I had my hand before here, like you could feel cool air. It's kind of like here, and look, you can tell. Look at my head. I am sweating. It's hotter than
It's
hell.
warm in here.
It's hotter than hell here.
And there's no heat on.
No, but that air is not there anymore. So anything and all that was in the room is now dispersed into the light.
I'm not trying to get into you here, and you'll see whenever you come back on this, but whenever you're over there talking, it focused in and out, in and out, in and out. I'm not touching it is like focusing in and out. Like right now, I'm focused on you. When you move, I'm still focused on you. When you go over by there, you're glitching.
That's where the portal was.
It's glitching.
Yeah, because see that dream catcher up above where his hand is? It's collecting all that energy. What doesn't get
I'm
filtered
not trying to be rude.
is compressing around the bottom.
The light from outside of time.
Right.
By the seal, the born one, fire, earth, air, and water, come forth and exist from the unseen world. Hear my call by the gate of the sun and by the fire of Leo. Let the light culturize and burn from this place. All forms shall be sent forth into the light. Spirits be dispersed. Still don't feel anything.
You're good. Honest God, I got to show you this. I'm sorry. I got to turn this off right now.
It freaked him out. He was like, he couldn't grasp it. It just stopped. And that's what I was saying. That form, that energy, even though you couldn't see it in the cheap little camera phone, as you seen the video before, where that thing was before it shot up into the attic, how it messed up the blur of the camera. That's what you got. You just didn't get the IR effect because it was, cheap little camera. It wasn't IR, but same sense, same scenario, same thing there. I was dealing with what a little girl said. There was a portal there. This thing comes in and out of it. The fact that I did that ritual and they've not experienced any other activity tells me that it left in peace. No further activity. The little girl feels safe.
And the thing about using light in magic, right, and using what we called, and I defined as magic earlier, is the manipulation of the environment using the energy in accordance with the will. Like, you can feel it, you can see it. Like, if you train your consciousness to relax enough, you can see how you can grip onto these different frequencies and flows with your conscious and unconscious body. That being the case, you saw the pause where he held the energy in his hand. There was a collection period, pulling off that energy and pushing it into that light, right? You're draining it from one form, shifting its energy. Crystals in the ancient world used to be viewed as compressions of light. Like, they were viewed as, if light could be compressed, it would be a crystal. It would be a precious stone, right? Diamonds were to remember, because they were carbon. They were to remember what came before the carbon universe, right? Like the mind before the all that is, in the way that it is, right? If higher dimensional beings had to be trapped in a form and it was carbon based, right? Well, that's the physical universe we live in. So what was before that? It's the mind, it's the intangible principles, right? And so as those intangible principles come into the form and come into the mathematics and come into the systems, right? You can look at Logan's channel on the decoding stuff, like all that. Right? Like, that's the spirit principle in action. Spirit is the mathematical expression, right? It's just an easy way to say all of that as it relates to the environment, because it's a behavior. It's what does it do? Who does it do it to? How does it do it with? Right? And these frequencies, these forms that these things take, right? Our ancestors knew what they were called, right? Like, gods aren't gods. They were like versions of family. Like, they're finding archaeological evidence of stuff in mythologies and stuff that was in fictitious books that they thought were just bullshit. They've dug up and found.
Right.
It's like, this stuff exists. It's the language that we have currently is inefficient. So we have to work on creating and curating a new language based upon the people who have the ears to hear the words in the right way and who aren't going to scream, "Oh my God, it's intangible demons," or "Oh my God, it's intangible devils." No, they're tangible. It's just you can't see them because your consciousness either A, isn't there, or B, they're operating outside of visible light spectrum, but that doesn't mean your brain can't pick it up, because your brain can do all sorts of crazy shit.
Right?
Like, and getting people to the right training so that when they're in the right space, they can do the thing that they need to progress where they are. Right? And this becomes the framework of the academy. This becomes the thing that we do all day long, every day, day in, day out, globally. Globally, we're working. Right? Like, there's projects I'm working on all over the world. And all throughout different layers of our communities. Like, one of our members is going to go talk as be part of a UN collective on healthy aging and lifestyle management, right? Like, she's working at the UN level. How cool is that?
Right.
Mike's helping folks get rid of shit out of little girls' bedrooms, right? Russell's running his ClickFunnels company. Pedro is doing his 100X thing. Pete's doing his Advance Your Reach thing. Jason's doing his affiliate triad Rapid Crush thing. Like, Dean and Tony, there's mastermind.com. There's whatever Tony's up to. Like, all those big players that are trying to get you to listen, trying to get you to learn, trying to get you to unfuck your reality from whatever bullshit has been forced down your throat because of the corruptive people that have gotten a hold of these things out of their turn. Like, do you know how dangerous this stuff is if fanatics get a handle on it? Because they'll focus on the wrong shit. They'll pervert the message. There has to be an uncorruptible principle. It is an idea that this stuff exists. we must steward its existence properly so that those who are out there in the field don't get fucked up, so that you don't bring something home with you, so you don't hex your friends by accident. You know, it's like this stuff is important.
It is very important.
You know,
So let's talk about, like earlier, I said, they're all around us every day, all the time. Like just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not here. I'm pretty sure they're more prominent once the sun sets and the moon comes out, just because of the moon sun astrology deal. You know what I mean? When you go deeper into that and how it plays on our globe Earth here. Anyway, let's look at this video. ReallyHaunted.com or Really Haunted here on YouTube. He's got some really, really good videos, but I picked out just a few clips of his videos because I want to go over them and explain them and kind of explain how we sleep with this. Like we wake up and we walk around and we do our daily, everyday life, not realizing how many entities we pass or we run into or run through us, or you know what I mean? Like we never really give it a thought. We don't give it a thought that hey, when we go to sleep at night, our subconscious goes. That's when our subconscious is more active. There's a reason they come and visit us at night when we're sleeping, because our subconscious is more active. Hence, which is the video I'm getting ready to show you. Let's talk about this.
Oh, this
Hey.
clip's really creeped me out. I'm
You'll see a
sleeping
black
in bed
figure
when something appears
here by
to
his
walk
head, and
past
it'll
the
just come
camera,
down the end of the bed.
goes off the screen. Then a little later on, something appears to crawl on top of me in bed and like moves its way up to me head. An orb comes down from the top of the screen. It looks like it's either trying to warn me what's happening.
all like vague.
Yeah, you can see the shadow clearly. You can see it. It's there. Like it's
That looks
good
like
enough to see.
ley lines that's as the Earth is rotating, it's just crossing, and so you're being thrust into a different perception of dimension because of that energy current. Like,
Well, when it gets closer over here to the right, you can actually see it form into like a head, kind of. Here's the interesting part. Remember that.
yeah,
Here's the interesting part. It'll come back, and it kind of glides up over him. There it is. Right there it is. Right here.
yeah.
That's somebody laying with him, kind of just hovering over him. This is the part right here. Look at this light. This is an actual orb of energy. This is what we are when we not have our flesh suit. We're our orb. We're a little spark of energy. We're that energy that operates our neurons. Like that's
Mike,
us.
can you move your mouse out of the way? So, right there, we got all that's. Sorry, I'm looking at the screen. So it's that whole shadow that's over the top of his head, like from like halfway down the bed.
Right here.
Yeah, that's nuts. There was a moment when it went over his head. There was a pulse. The screen, like there was like arms coming off of that
Right.
light flash. Like that was incredible. Like,
And this is what we talk about in the academy when I'm talking about duality and when I'm talking about the different energies and things. This is a great video to give you that example. If you notice, that shadow was dark. Okay, so therefore it's probably unnatural. It's probably something not necessarily demonic, but something like maybe Loki, like trickery. You know what I mean? Something.
let's refine the speech a little bit and let's call it one of the yin creatures. It's a darkness, so it's yin.
Okay, the yin. Okay, and then here in a minute, we seen that yang. We seen the light come down through, and you'll see it get his attention and wake him up. Like, hey, you know what I mean? These are the things that go on that we don't pay attention to at night while we're sleeping, or even in the daytime. We've got forces around us all the time. Like demonic and angelic, all the time around us. Like we just don't see them because we don't have that level of eye spectrum to see that. If we did, we'd probably get freaked out or understand
Yeah.
more of what's going on.
There's a training for Taoists that they call it the yin yang eyes. Keith has observed it in himself several times over. I've done it several times, where you've got those different fires that we connect to, and you burn one in one eye and one in the other, and you see in literally about 4 or 5 different dimensions at the same time.
Right.
Like those are techniques that your third eye is connecting to the world to connect everything together. Your one eye is seeing the light stuff, your one eye is seeing the dark stuff, and then your eye is seeing the whole thing together, and then your mind is interpreting the whole thing as a collective.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you want to talk about 5 element seeing, that would be the foundation of it.
Right.
Like that's a training technique that we can get into. It'll give you a headache like nobody's business, and this is why, again, it's like consciousness training. It's like this is why this stuff is important. So I'll shush, but yeah.
I actually posted that exercise in the sorcery, necromancy, and the paranormal page, the group. On
Yeah.
Facebook. I
Yeah.
posted it there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But you'll actually see in this video where the yang now comes in and wakes him up, makes him alert, like, hey, this thing is messing with you. You seen it come in. Now it'll come down here in the corner and wake him up. See? If you notice, the black thing's gone. But you have this little white orb just kind of hanging out there. And he's awake now. So he's now out of that subconscious pattern. He's now, into our realm.
Okay.
We'll lay down and go back to sleep, and that thing will probably come back. I don't remember. I cut the video off, but
Okay.
this
Can
is
you,
a perfect.
before you close it out, can you replay it a little bit without us talking over it so we can just get that full clip?
Yeah, I'll play the whole clip. Yep.
Or this clip really creeped me out. I'm sleeping in bed when something appears to walk past the camera. It goes off screen. Then a little later on, something appears to crawl on top of me in bed and like moves its way up to my head. An orb comes down from the top of the screen. It looks like it's either trying to warn me what's happening or it's trying to get it away from me.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Yep. And so that's like I goes back to, when you think you're alone, you're not really alone. Whether it be your ancestors or those that came before you, or unnatural demons or angelic beings, like all that exists in a realm we can't see, but it's very much real. And these are the things that I've come to find in my 12 years of paranormal investigating that, you know, I've run in base space with an actual demon, like I said, in Colorado, once here in Pennsylvania. Like, these things are very real, guys. We don't just go out there and play like Harry Potter. You know, we actually are.
Hmm.
Harry Potter.
No, that's a fictitious child who was sent to his death by some asshole wizard.
That's what that little girl was.
Not that I don't appreciate the childhood and the franchise, and I love it all very dearly. But I say I want to co-opt their aesthetic, and I want to gut their curriculum and make it ours. Like, if we could just straight up buy the Harry Potter franchise and gut it and turn it into the Academy, I am down for doing that. And like, let's bring this shit out for real. Like, get real stories of sorcerers, get real stories of people that are out there changing the fate. Because before Hollywood's bullshit, we were the village healers. Like, our communities were the healers. They were the ones who, you know, there was only a couple of them in a village. Only a couple. You know, like one might have been specialized in animals. One might have specialized in other stuff. Like, this is why I love our community so much, is because while I might get frustrated and go all Gordon Ramsay on like our membership if they try to pull some stupid shit when it comes to like disrespect of spirits in the field, that's one thing. But the love and the connection to animals and the connection to people and wanting to do good for the community, I'll support that all day long. Right? It's like, I love that. I want to facilitate that as much as possible. Like, there's the Frisian horses that she wants to do. She wants to donate her farm to the Academy model so that people have a place to go and can actually get hands on the animal and the big beasts of nature, and like we can play with like these things at a place. Like, she wants to do that, and I want to encourage that. But there's also things that we have to be very, very careful of when it comes to dealing with our membership and being able to do these intangible things. Like, they're not technically intangible. It's just you can't see them because it's a consciousness thing. If you could see it, or you trained yourself to see it, you would see it, and you would need no other proof. Like, it's just it exists thing. There's no fast way for you to do it. Like, that's why it takes you 20 years to do stuff. That's why it takes 10 years to do stuff in meditation. Like, the law of repetition. There's a reason why mantras are chanted 40 times or 108 times or 300 times or whatever the repetition of phrasing or syllables or whatever those things are. It's the rhythm of the body. It's the mental state. It's the planar projections. It's how all of those energies are coming together, and you are using those on purpose. And how do we use these things on purpose? So as we use these things on purpose, we're doing so in full cognizance of these are dangerous things if we fuck it up, right? And so we have to steward magic. We have to steward the concepts of magic delicately, because it's not meant for everybody, right? If you hate your job, right, you don't go to a witch to go get you a spell for an amulet of something for no reason, right? Like, you go out there to create a connection to a principle of a thing that is an intangible thing that you have to anchor to physical object. That physical object you will then feel when you hold it. It is a tangible expression. Like, you can touch it, you can go back later and you can touch it again and it'll still be zappy. Like, it's nuts. That stuff exists.
Right.
Candles will do ridiculous shit when the fire burns. I have seen some beautiful things. Like, I've got videos I'm not allowed to share with people. But holy crap, this stuff is cool. This stuff is neat, guys. You know.
Go ahead.
Oh, please, what?
How do you know that what you do works? How do you know? It's great when you get confirmation that what you do works. I mean, like, to be able to go in and show this little girl that magic exists, to have her grandfather like already being spiritual, just like get awed by what happened, what I mean, with an actual ritual going on. Like, this is why he calls me. But to understand, like, it's great when you can wake up in the morning and you get comments like this on your Facebook. It says, the switch. There we go. Notice how she is holding the protection charm. She carries it everywhere. I'm so proud of her. The strength she possesses and her courage. She wouldn't even play with the toy before. Then I brought her up and she wanted to show Mike. That was awesome. That she exactly after the ritual, the part of the video. When I brought her back up after I did the ritual, she was playing with toys that she wouldn't play with. Like she was too scared to even go in the room to play with. And then that same day, like within a couple minutes, the grandfather says she slept all night, no problem. I asked her if anything tried last night, and she said, no, Pop. You and Harry Potter killed them all. Thank you much, Brother Mike and Brian. So,
Yeah. But when I get a request for an exorcism, my day goes full stop and it becomes a matter of service. Not only did we have to get the same technique trained, Mike and I spent 3 hours that morning getting it ready. Like, do the spell again, do the thing again. Like, these are tangible pressures, right? Do you have can you pull up that one short clip of when you were doing the one in his bedroom? The second one? Or the one that you showed in your video first? Because I love the way that you structured that the display of this ceremony and these methods in the original video that we shared on
that was the
social.
one where I explained what I was doing.
Yeah, but it was mostly where you were explaining the feeling as it was leaving your hand.
Okay, that one.
Yeah, where your fingers are tingling. Like,
Let me see if I can find it.
there is a Vision was talking about it in his master class over there at Mind Valley. Again, I can't stress it how much I love those programs so that they can get the individual trained at a consciousness level to be able to feel this stuff in a really tangible way if they're not already doing it. But that's what Mike is doing. It's like words to cause the movement, to cause the understanding of when you say this word, the movement of these things will happen that way. Not because of some weird hocus pocus bullshit,
Sorry.
but because that's what actually happens.
All right.
So we're talking about proof, we're talking about magic, we're talking about it's not what Hollywood thinks, but it's also not what Hollywood thinks. It's there's a delicacy there. Like some of this shit, terrifying, absolutely horrible. But some of this shit, not so bad. And it's the not so bad stuff. It's the benevolent uses of the stuff. And that's what we excel at, right? How does this stuff serve you to know it so that by you knowing it, you're going to be able to go forward with good information to be able to serve the community with what you do? If you can apply that principle to every aspect of your life, boom, you've got it. Mike, you need to hit the button so I can show the thingy.
I told you I ain't used to this. Okay.
Right? Like, yeah, there we go. Boom. Okay.
This
Go for it.
one you're talking about? All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because it could just be playing nice. Can't forget that.
I call forth the light from outside of time by the seal of the 4 in 1, fire, earth, air, and water. Come forth and exist from the unseen world. Hear my call by the gate of the sun and by the fire of Leo. Let the light culturize and burn from this place. All forces shall be sent forth into the light. Spirits be dispersed. That was kind of weird. Fingers tingle. That happens a little sometimes. My fingers will tingle. Like it's just the energy that's
Goodbye.
around. Huh?
Like a goodbye.
Almost like almost like they were on one of these numbers. Okay.
I love it. But yeah,
You found the new bedtime routine.
what the fuck's
I found a new bedtime routine.
apparently banish the light or banish shit into the light is the new bedtime routine, people, like apparently. But you know, and I want to address some of the languaging that was used. Why do I call it a priesthood? Is because it's somebody who's going to keep to the faith. What do I mean by faith? I mean they're going to keep to the non-corruptible mission that we're not going to let this shit fall into the hands of the people that are going to fuck it up. Period. That's it. That's the faith, right? The use of the thing called an elemental seal, right? Every tradition has a seal of power, right? In some sort of capacity, some symbol of authority, right? I use it as the gateway of where you stop and the world begins, right? There is a barrier between your auric field as your body produces the torus as it relates to the big environmental ones of the whole, like everywhere, right? The seal is the gateway, the kind of like sphincter, if you will. Like think about it as a butthole between you and creation. So it can be an asshole if you want it to be. Right? You stick your hand out, you make it go squish, boom, there's energy. Right? Because it's what happens when your auric field interacts with the world around you so that at that moment of compression, you're able to grasp onto it with the energy you're projecting because you're able to channel it appropriately with the world around you. So you understand by calling on these things outside of time, it's the intangible energy flowing through you. When you say the words, I call forth by the gates of light. What does that mean? The gate is the connection point. What does it mean when that light connects to your hand, to your body, to those? It is the pole. It is the staff of authority, right? It is the unbreakable, unshakable, unfuckwithable. Like, do it that way if you have to. But that's how you connect to it, right? And so when you open up these things alchemically, you're creating that rhythm between the flow of the energy as it moves around your body and your aura as it extends outside of you. And the pre-work that you do with the seals inside of you allows your body to be able to control it with your will and consciousness. So you are in full command of the energy. So as you grab it and you're holding it forward, the crystal that he's got in the palm of his hand is as his body is compressing all of that energy, as his skin is absorbing it, as his breath is getting pushed out into the environment, that crystal in his hand is acting as a compression of that light, moving that energy, anchoring that energy, already fixed by the spells of sympathy that have been already prepared due to the grid that's already underneath that candle. That candle was blessed. That candle is a generational spell. It is the second one of its kind. Like the primary one, the spirit inside the candle, it lights up the room, that energy frequency, right? What would be that thing? It's all there. He's already done the work. And if you don't already do that kind of level of work to it, well, you're not going to get these kinds of results. You're not going to be able to actually do the thing I'm talking about. And so not keeping that safe so that you can do it safely, so you can learn it safely, so that way I can parse through all the bullshit and get down to the bottom line, right, as quickly as possible, right? I was told I wasn't blunt enough, and then I was blunt, and then I started yelling at people. So which version of me do you want? I'm tired. I want to do, let's do magic, let's do sorcery, and let's help the common good with doing it all the right way, right? You know, and this is where street magicians, street magic, and all of these people that are going about whatever they're doing, right? And they think they're only doing so in a vacuum. Well, congratulations, folks, you're not, right? You're not doing it in a vacuum. You're not alone out there, right? Your consciousness, all of these things are interconnected to the greater collective. All of us are required to do these things. Like if you can light a candle to refocus your vibrations because you are connecting to the elemental state of that candle and the elemental state inside of you, what is your body? What is your movement? What is your spirit in relation to the environment? All of that. Your light that connects your mind to that light that it connects to the world. How do you harmonize those? How do you project those into the next action that you take so that when you act, you are acting in alignment with the thought that you had when you were in that moment so that you serve others, right? If your faith leads you to be a bigot and hate on one culture or another one, right? If you're trying to abuse the lives of women on purpose, if you're trying to set back human development on purpose or deny or corrupt science for whatever purpose, then we have problems. Then we'll transfer you to the comeuppance department. Well, this is the department of scary things. Like, we can go that route. Let's not go that route because these things, while benevolent, can also be twisted in really shitty ways. And I would really like to not have to go, let's not talk about our fears. Let's talk about overcoming our fears. So we're benevolent. I would like us to be benevolent. I would like us to be a co-collaborator with absolutely every person on the planet. The United States needs fixing. Every country needs fixing, but the rest of the world is getting its shit together while the US is fighting over what color it is. How stupid. Is it red? Is it blue? Is it black? Is it white? What? No. You're people.
Green.
Don't be greedy. Don't write a narrative of hate. Don't write a narrative of pain. Don't intentionally seek that out. Your AI camera agrees with me.
Apparently, yeah. Yep.
So these are the kinds of things that we have to do as we move forward with whatever it is we do, right? It's my goal with the Academy is to set up people who want to be the very best at what they do and have all the courage behind them to do so, right? This is how I got to work and ghostwrite programs for Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, Pedro Adao, Russell Brunson, fucking all the big guys, right? Like there's all the big famous influencers in the business community. I got to string all their programs together and create one massive empire of entrepreneurial endeavors, right? The purpose of that is specifically, as my lights are flashing around here, right? Spirits are watching, right? This stuff is meant for the betterment of everybody. This stuff isn't meant for just the elite. It's just to use what's working at best in the marketplace so that as many people have access to that information as possible, so that when they are out there actually making these choices, they're doing so in ways that actually fucking work. My spells work. If they didn't, Mike wouldn't use them. If they didn't, none of the billionaires would be listening to me.
And just to add to that, since it's being streamed on both, anybody on my page, because I know there's a couple of practicing witches and some that are interested and whatnot that have followed me for quite some time through the paranormal and ufology community. If you're interested in learning, all of this, go to aoscourses.com. That's the academy that he runs. And
There's a problem. You go to our Facebook page, the Academy of Sorcery. AOS Courses right now, the primary website I need to fix. There's something it's not going to the membership page.
Okay. Well, then go to Facebook and look up the Academy of Sorcery and talk to Brian. He'll get you all set up and you can do the things I'm doing. Like, it's great, man. I love the work that I do.
It's the absolute reformation of the individual, right? That I unfortunately settle less for nothing less. Like, you have got to go through this process of you need to become different than who you are at the beginning. And you need to have the courage to step forward into the world that you create. And that's the thing that takes the time, right? Like, that's why it took 9 months with me working with Mike on one-on-one. Like, we do these group things once a week. It's about 3 or 4 hours long. Our members of the community come forward, they talk about their things, and I'll help with how I can. And what's great is they're starting to help each other. They're getting comfortable with their systems of magic and they're starting to elevate each other. And now that we've got this community of people that are actually working together like this, instead of just for billionaire topics in business and those cold activities, these are hot activities, right? Like these are almost the squishy wet activities. The squishy wet activities are those interactions between you and the individual and the group and the community and all those things, right? And then the dry activities are what you do on your own. And so we can break down our process alchemically, right? The cold, which is the reason, the hard facts of our nature, right? The hot, like these are the things that light us up. These are the things that are going to get us moving, right? So we have to. This is a staging process. This is a developmental process. There's elemental attributes for all this stuff, and if you want to figure all this stuff out, I'm not trying to go expert speak. It's just you need to be really clear that this is what you want. Because I'll teach it. I love teaching it. I'll keep talking about it. God knows Mike hears me talk about it hours and hours and hours.
And just to add to that, just to add to that, the reason it took me only 9 months, or it took me 9 months, is because my life was already falling apart at that time. So I put, you know, being a mentalist, being a hermetics teacher, learning how to deal with my problems differently. I put all my anger and all my frustration and all my hurt into learning magic, into bettering myself, into, you know, taking that negative power and turning it around to where I can use it as a positive way, as in helping my community, like I am now. You see what I'm saying? You see how I took that raw dog fucking killing power and just turned it into a positive power.
Right.
And that's, you know, that's what we teach at the academy: how to retrain your mental process, how to, you know, get your chakras open, get you working in that synchronicity so that you can perform these spells and they come out accurate. And you get things like, hey, this little girl slept great all night. You know, these things can be done. It takes time. Like I said, it only took me 9 months because I had a lot of time. We spent a lot of time. Like Ryan got to know me real quick in a short amount of time. So with normal people, it's not going to take 9 months. It's probably going to take a little longer, but it is worth it.
You know, and I'll preface that it's like I do this full time. I teach sorcery full time to people. This is my job, and I'll do spells for folks. But this teaching is my favorite part because it's when we get to do the magic and you get to see the results of the magic in the moment with the individual lighting up their power for the first time. And they're like, that worked. Oh, I felt that. Oh, I want to do more of that. The first time they find the addiction to this energy current, it's not just them, it's the whole shaboodle of like fucking wacky, right? It's insane.
I can elaborate on what he's saying if you want.
Please.
Like, okay, so the first real experience I was able to do was in the midst of my life falling apart. Getting out and meeting new people, I had met this lady and she wanted a mythical card reading. So she stopped over and I did a mythical card reading with her. Well, it ended up to where she wanted to go do paranormal investigating at a lost town here in Pennsylvania, Centralia. You can find a video on my page. But anyway, you know, she knew I was a sorcerer and whatnot. And I wanted to go up there and play with magic. And, you know, it's a lost town. A lot of people died. Like it's a mountain on fire. You know what I mean? And so we get up there and we're doing our thing, you know, and I'm walking around, I'm setting up, and I got everything aligned alchemically and according to the times and whatnot. And we're sitting there and it's hot. I mean, we're on a burning mountain. So it's like no air, it's just heat. And I was sitting there and I lit everything and I called forth the spirits of the air. And when I did that, this big gush just come through. And I mean, it wasn't subtle. It was a big, so much to where she was like, like, at that time when I had said it, she was like, she realized and she wanted to become a witch. Like, you know what I mean? But that's a prime example of going out and calling forth the elements and them responding, you know.
Yeah. You know, and I love it. And I want to support everybody who's in the community doing this stuff. And I want to do it the best as possible, right? And it doesn't mean like I want to do it the best for me possible because that's my commitment to what I want to set as the standards for my practice, right? It's like I'm trying to do these things in a way where it doesn't matter what my history of doing it in the past has been. I'm always trying to improve this stuff so that it doesn't stop being benevolent, right? If there's ever a point where my stuff becomes too much in one direction, it needs that course correction. It needs to be able to be free enough to pivot. You know, it's like this stuff is meant to help people, at least the way that I do it, right? I can't speak for every common sorcerer out there. I can't speak for anybody who doesn't go through these methods and stuff like that, right? If you're working your job, if you've got spouses that are hating on you, if you got kids you're raising, if you got all the shit in your life you're doing, right? Well, you got to figure out a way to interact with me in a way to tell me what your schedule looks like, right? It's not about what my schedule looks like. It's about what does your schedule look like, right? You want to come learn magic? Tell me what your scheduling problems are, and we'll figure out a time to do it. I mean, I'm talking to people in Bangladesh about magic in Thailand at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, 4 a.m. some days. I'm up 24 hours a day. There was one time I was talking about magic 24 hours. I did not stop. I ended a conversation with Mike, continued it with 3 other people, continued it the next day for another 12 hours with Mike. Like, it was fucking nuts because people call in crisis. People are like, oh my God, I've got shit coming at me. Oh my God, the car just flipped and 3 people are dead. Like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, I need a blessing. Oh, I need a protection. Or it's like, oh, by the way, like you gave all your personal information to the people that are known adversarial opponents of you so that they can do work against you. Well, there is no way to unfuck that. You have to become a different person. That's the only way to unfuck that. And unless you're willing to go through that, I can't help you. Like if you want to go through the rites of renaming, if you want to go through the rites of recreation, like we can remake the individual, body, psyche, all of it. You want to do it? We can remake you, right? I ain't going to say it's going to be for the better. I'm just going to say we can remake you. It's up to you to make it better, right? But that's an extreme view of what becomes possible if I don't have tight control, or I'm not permitted to have tight control by whatever forces that might be outside my control, right? It's like I'm a puppet only so far, but there are hard limits on what I will teach in any capacity. What might get stolen from me, on the other hand, is an entirely different matter, and that's how Daniel comes to be with us. 10 months ago, 11 months ago, this kid steals my book online and admits to it straight up. Found it on some database that I posted it in way back when. Like he said he used an AI program to go scrape it off the internet and he stole it, right? And then he wanted to reach out and learn more. So we started teaching him. And he's one of the members of our community that's one of the most fucking innovative. Like, he has taken to this better than a fish takes to water. Like, you do it in the right way, you can make this practice your own, right? But you have to practice. You have to do it. You can't just be idle with it and be like, oh, my great gods in the sky. No, motherfuckers, that's not how this works. The ancestors were living. There's a historical record. They were people.
You've got to live it. This is a living situation. This is something, you don't just pick it up and put it down. You pick it up, you keep it, you go with it, you progress, you help it flourish. Like,
Right. This is a legacy that extends beyond the 2 of us, beyond the 3 of the people that are currently watching, and all of the people that will ever hear this video. Like, this is the legacy of people. This is what makes people great. This is what makes humans great. This is what makes our communities and our worlds flourish when everybody is working with these things in tandem and in rhythm, right? Back in the ancient day, when people would sacrifice to the elements at a seasonal shift, right? They would do a big tribal thing for spring or winter, right? By creating those collective consciousness rhythms, those songs, those memories, those vibrations, those patterns in the framework and the tapestry, right? As they are projected out through those rituals on those holy days, when everything is in direct alignment, it allows for the world to shift for a season. If people would do that more, right? Like CERN is shifting the world and they're shifting their consciousness so that they can interpret these rhythms and these informations from these big rituals that they're doing. It helps get everybody on board with that they are on a ritual process of an illumination. They're on a discovery thing, so they're asking whatever forces to align with them so that they get the inspirations for it. It is a beautiful process. It's not a scary process. I love it. I condone ritual work. You want to ask the cards? Go for it. Don't give away your power to them by any means. It's your connection to the divine, your connection to your subconscious. If you want to ask it, if you want to have that reinforcement, great. There is a time when you do not need them. You will be in natural rhythm. You will be in natural synchronicity, right? Like, I'll go over and start grabbing herbs off a fucking shelf. And I've documented this with Robin, and I've documented this with Mike, and I've shared it around to the group, right? It's like, I'll pull spell ingredients not needing to even look at a fucking clock, and they're the right ones.
Yep.
Down to the time of year. In a third section of there's astrological time, there's planetary time, there's the day of the week, and then there's what the season it's in, right?
Right.
I can naturally align energy work occasionally, not always, but it's great when it happens, to those principles to make sure that those energies are included down to the 4th application. Because I know the rhythm I'm looking for. I know that, and I trust that energy. I've been doing it long enough. I trust the energy that flows through me. I don't like to call it certain names because certain names carry historical baggage, right? But that's the lineage of the shit that we do, right? We're working as a historical collaboration between the best in the world at what they are doing now, a living history of how do you preserve culture, right? What software, what technologies will preserve culture beyond culture failing itself, right? So as everybody out there is on a race war, or as everybody's going through their failing of political endeavors, whatever it is, whatever corrupt bullshit exists, right? The stuff that Mike and I are doing, the stuff that Mike showed you, is the reason why I've spent so much time trying to figure out a way to leverage technology companies so that they would listen to us and produce for us at affordable rates in collaboration. Like, I want a license deal with this thing. Like, this is my design, you know, or come up with a collective where we can collectively benefit, right? And see, one of the things that I love about the Academy model is that its primary operations are to be fueled by corporate development, right? Like, the big business operates so that the people can benefit, right? The business is to benefit the people, not the people benefiting the business, right? People aren't slave labor. This is about creating an elevated quality of life for everybody who interacts with our systems so that they have an understanding that their faith, they can have faith in stuff. They can still have a faith, but they have to trust that it's their body, it's their consciousness, it's the world around them that is tangible and exists independently from the ego of the human. Books and bullshit be damned. This is what's working in the marketplace. These are techniques that we can demonstrate.
They're documented.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kimberly. I appreciate you. See you. Hey, hit us up on the Facebook. Send me a message. I think it's the fern.arlock is what you can find it under if you do a search term. But yeah, hit me up. Let's be friends. Like, let's chat. Let's see how you can come and join us on Saturdays at the noon Zoom. You know, come talk about what you do. You know, if you want to come on and do a thing and talk about what you do and share it with us or teach something, let this be an open platform for the community. Like, this isn't just for talking heads like Mike and I. This is for folks from the community to be able to come forward with what practices that are working so that we can codify it. We can create the legacy that allows everyday people to become the leaders of tomorrow so that while we're alive today, our legacy is the record we leave behind for the next generation. It's not about the legacy we have now. It's about the legacy of the works that we do for the next generation, for the people that are not yet know us. You guys know us. How do we work together so that the people that come to know you know of you, and how the people that are already working with us know you? Like, there's a two-way dialogue that really needs to happen, but we need to know your schedules. I need to know where it is that you guys need the time to do this stuff. Like, how much time? What's your structure? What is your requirement? Like, my requirements are a lifetime vocation to a practice of something that you probably will never actually fully understand. You need to be able to trust that your intuition will guide you and your higher self will guide you in a way that won't fuck you over. But you have to have the beautiful catastrophe, right? You have to have that moment where, like Mike, his life fell apart around him. My life fell apart years ago. To set on this path, hardcore, so that I would trust it, my entire life fell apart. So let the Academy stand for the broken. Like the people whose lives have been abused by the world and the establishment and all that crap. Let ourselves put us back together. You know, it's us together as a whole makes everything better. Not just fucking like gurus saying no. It's about the journey that you're taking with whatever information is coming out of that guru's mouth at the time. If it works for you, great. What matters more is how do you apply it in closed doors and closed chambers. And if we can start those dialogues so you can see what those look like, that's what we're here for. That's what we need to do for the community, is to provide these little mastermind groups so we can come together. That's all I got to say on that. Like, it's like, this is proof. This is magic. This is what we're doing. It's not a cult. It's a science. It's not a religion. It's not a philosophy. It is like, serve people good. It's like, how much do you need to be shaken? Like, don't be a fucking douchebag.
Right.
Like, how? Why?
A lot of it is because, and this is why we teach the Hermetic principles in the academy. A lot of it is because people don't understand the Hermetic principle of cause and effect. You know, every action has a reaction. Like, it's inevitable. So, like, the things you're doing and the actions you're taking today, you might not get a reaction today, but you'll get a reaction. You know what I mean? Like, it's cause and effect. It's that Hermetic principle. And people understood that, then they could weld their lives in a much better fashion.
Right. The world wouldn't be in the catastrophe it's in. The corruption that happened in the past to cause the fall of the ancient worlds would not have happened if people understood this information en masse and they took responsibility. So that way, when they go to church, when they listen to the priest is standing up there guiding the people, not lecturing dogma from a dead book written by a bunch of fucked off people with an agenda.
Right.
The priest is supposed to be able to help guide divine inspiration in the moment of its inspiration so that way you can cultivate a higher thing. If they're not doing that in church, they fucked up.
They fucked up.
That's why
Sorry, guys.
relationships-
I'm not good at watching chat and participating in video. I can definitely, many people will tell you that know me, I am not good at multitasking. Not at all.
I appreciate you guys in the chat for lighting that up. You know,
Yes, thank you.
huge shout out to, we got Kimberly who was here earlier. We've got, who else was in there? My New Way was in there.
And there was
Life's Resurrection Project. I love it.
Caucasian Sasquatch. I was watching him this morning. He's got a music channel. Thank you,
Oh,
Sasquatch.
right. Very cool. Well, hey guys, if you're still watching, I appreciate you. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, do all the things, you know, pimp the channel. If you like what we're up to, holy shit, you have seen nothing yet. Why? Have you seen nothing yet? It's simple, because you're not in here doing it with us. Wait till you do it yourself.
Right?
Like, this isn't a path where it's going to be done for you. Like, the roadmaps are done. Like, the structure and the schemas and all the programming and like all of it, it's mostly done. Like, all that's missing is you. Like, it's the individual. Like, what do you want to do with it? How do you need help? Like, I got what I sell is based on who needs what for what purpose, right? Like, if I'm selling you a book and I'm selling you some knives and I'm selling you a process to go with those things, which will be coming, right? Like, that's going to be one of the offerings. It's going to be a ritual kit, right? And that each item is a ritual object, right? Each implement. The book itself, fuck, you know the Grimoire, like, one of how weird is it that the book becomes as useful as it does? Like, out of all the spell books that I've ever played with, I'm in this thing, the way that it was built, more times, not because it's, you know, oh, no, it took 10 years to write that thing. 10 years to write that thing. And then for the last 10, 12 years, I've been teaching this shit.
Oh, yeah. That's like I told you, that and Cunningham's Magical Book of Herbs, man. That's like the Bible for me, man. You got the New Testament and the Old Testament.
Yeah. You know, it's like Cunningham's got a great foundation. He pulled a bunch of really great obscure sources. Like, I had to track down a book from the 1700s in order to verify the work, and I was able to go deeper with the work because it's Culpeper's work, right? Nicholas Culpeper with the American or the English pharmacology, right? Like, that was at one point, it almost outsold the Bible. And in certain areas of the country, there's a book called The Long Lost Friend that did. Like, bringing back works like The Long Lost Friend, bringing back works like Culpeper's Herbal, where it gives people the command of the information in a healthful, information and informative way, is what the books are supposed to do, right? And so that as the Academy works on building future work, especially including community work, right? Community people and contributors from the community, like Oberon Zell's Grimoire for the Apprentice Wizard, right? Like that's a foundation book for the Grey School project, right? Where they teach people from 13 to any age how to do witchcraft and how to do wizardry, right? Like the foundations of it through those models, and very much. And everything that I've been doing over the last 3 years since I started working for them has been an absolute industrial reformation in order to live up to the benevolence that was demonstrated by Oberon Zell back in the 1960s when he came out with the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Like, I keep going back to that because without that act, I would have been expelled in high school back in the 2000s, right? Stuff that he did in the 60s, that was foundational to the work, would not have been there unless somebody had taken the authority to be able to, group people together and change policy for common good. And because of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, we're still able to benefit from it today. And people are still taking pot shots at it, right? But it's one of the most foundational things that ensures the freedoms of people. Right now, we need to take that freedom to the next step and ensure an education for people. Right? It's how do you change education in a way where you're getting it away from just factory work, where you're not enslaving them with silly woke principles, but you're actually training them, the exercises, to develop consciousness for training, so that way they can do this stuff. So that way, as they grow, they are already taught. So there is no need for that unlearning process. It does take a lot of discipline, but if we built a system where that discipline was already there from the outset, we wouldn't have to have these retraining camps, right? And I don't want to call it a retraining camp because there's too many horrible things that happen at camp. Nobody likes camp. No, it's like, I like the idea of going out to fuck off into the woods, to go out and to be with nature and to go have religious experiences in the woods and connect with nature and to do all the things and all of that, right? But then you've got people grouping people together and they don't think about the full ramifications of the infrastructure, right? Like if you go into those situations, it's more than just a shack in the woods. It's an entire city you have to build, right? It's the infrastructure of how you're going to feed them. How are you going to house them? How are you going to clean the stuff that you feed them? How are you going to clean the stuff that they wear? How are you going to clean their bodily and their what comes out of their body and the waste and all of that? It becomes an infrastructure problem, right? And if you don't have an understanding of your infrastructure problems, but when you go out into the field with a situational awareness, you're not going to be able to survive and you're not going to be able to do this stuff. So you have to know the culture. You have to know how to do that. That's tribal knowledge. If you don't know the knowledge of the tribe and you go out to try to interact with it, you're fucked because you don't know what's going on. We become our own tribes. We become our own collaborators. We become our own curators. We become our own responsible parties. It's up to us to fix this shit. And it's up to us to be willing to work with others so that we can do this en masse, so that it becomes more than like it. It becomes more than the people that are going to be upset that I'm mad that the paranormal community is all excited about having a spiritual encounter in a terrible situation, or that was caused by a terrible situation, and they're going there to go get glee and joy out of it. Like, that's all sorts of psychotic and fucked up. Like, yeah, you want to have it, you be excited for having the experience, right? Be excited for the experience. Love the experience. But know that it's not that experience there that you want to have it for your first times. Like, you want to do it in a controlled environment. You want to create the environment where you can welcome these things benevolently, so that if you're going to interact with the spirit world, or you're going to interact with those portals that were created as a result of the dream catcher collecting the energies and filtering it through and allowing the consciousness of the little girl to reach into the different dimensions. Like, because of what was going on in that room and because of what was there, the situation became viable for those things to occur. Right? It's not every room. It's not every situation. There's specific conditions. It's understanding these conditions, working with these conditions, changing the environment according to those conditions. I keep rambling. I apologize.
And so, yeah, it's been an hour and a half, so not to make it too long. We plan on coming on a lot more, like once a week to get started. Just to give updates on what we're doing in the academy, and to hear from your divine sorcerer. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
And if you're...
Good.
Oh, I was gonna say, hit up Mike if you need any, like, if you've got paranormal questions and stuff like that. Reach out to him. Reach out to Sprad. You know, get in touch with him so you can get next steps and solutions. You get an investigation. Pay for his flight. Get him out there. Get him to go get him to go solve that shit. But yeah, man, like this is when it comes to the paranormal. Like I back whatever Mike is up to. It's just his love and the service in the communities. It's a blessing for people, and the hate that other people give to paranormal communities, to people in that community, is sad. So this is where the Facebook community is for. Hey, do you have a quick link for that?
From
By
what?
the way, the your Facebook group.
I can get it for you. Hold on a minute.
Okay. I found it real quick. I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah. So here, if you want to chat, if you want to have fun, come join the Facebook group. Talk about your paranormal stuff. It's not a sales thing. You obviously we can go into that, but this is a community thing. We're here to help the community, and if you get questions, post them in the comments. We'll see them. We'll add that to the discussion for next week.
There you go.
Right? So there will be systems, there will be websites, there will be links and stuff in the future, so that way you guys can get a hold of us if you've got questions. And if you've got a really cool thing that you want to share, we'll provide a platform for you to share it on. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody.